Hello, welcome back to the workshop. Today we're going to be making one of my biggest sellers, the 3-in-1 chopping board.
Now I know what you're thinking. Chopping board videos are so boring. Charlie, why are you making a video on this? Well, I think I've done a little twist on it and added some extra functions to this chopping board design for it to be a little bit more exciting than your average one of just gluing up some pieces together and sanding them down. Now, I'm not knocking other people that make regular chopping boards. This is just a little different and it catches people's eyes at the markets. In fact, it's not often that I don't sell one of these at a market, and that's an easy 150 quid in your back pocket straight off the bat.
So, this is a piece I've worked on before, and you can see here and here we had nail holes. I blew this one out from the other side and it shattered out this exit wound, I guess you call it. Then we've got some cracks over here, so we're going to cut down these lines I've just drew, and we should be able to pull something quite easily out of this piece. I'm really hoping I don't hit this nail if it's wonky in there, but I don't think it is.
If you saw my last video, you'll know that this slab is from the same tree as I made the stool out of, and this is the next cut down in the log from the sawmill. Talking of sawmills, have a word with Pine Ridge Tree Care if you're in the Surrey area. They do amazing deals on slabs, and all their wood is sustainably cut from the arborist side of their business. Here I'm just using a down and dirty wedge clamp to hold the stock in place, getting ready for the flattening pass. I recently upgraded my spoil board bit to a 1/2 inch, one of those ones with the carbide inserts. It cuts through wood like butter. It's awesome. I love it. I'll put a link in the description. I'm sure some of you are thinking right now, I need to tram my machine because of those lines going through the wood. But you can't really feel them, and they're going to come out when I have to sand anyway, so it's not an issue for me.
Something's wrong there. You are what is wrong. That was just trapped in between the bits and bobs, so it wasn't making a tight seal.
Right here, I am back at it again with the wedge clamp securing the bit in place. Those two offcuts, I use an 18 gauge brack nail, and if you fire the nails in at a 45 degree towards the piece but into the spoil board, it'll secure the piece really snugly. I have about 5mm of play in this stock to be able to extract this chopping board, so I'm measuring up for a precise starting point.
It's going to be tight. We're going to do it.
Get ready for a knuckle smash in 3, 2, 1. Here I'm just matching the machine coordinates to the measurements on the stock. This is called zeroing out, and it tells the machine where to start the job.
So, whilst that's going, I'm going to clean up the workshop. It's a bit of a state at the moment, and the nice thing about the CNC is I can just leave it to run and keep an eye on it from a distance. So let's get this place cleaner.
For the record, yes, this is filler footage, but if you watch the time-lapse on its own, you'd probably get nauseated and throw up in your popcorn. I thought I'd try close-up with the action camera, and just the movement is awful. I'm so sorry. Though these shots do let you see around the workshop, even if it is a bit of a pigsty at the moment. I moved into the workshop about 3 years ago, give or take. Prior to that, I was in the shed in my garden. So the workshop measures at 6 by 8 meters, which is just a bit longer than a 2-car garage. In America, that's pretty standard, but for here in the UK, that's massive for a workshop. So I know I'm very fortunate. If you're curious about the wall organisation system I have, it's called Multiboard, and it's a semi-open source 3D printed system. Saves so much money compared to buying off the shelf options. It's not just for workshops. I use it at home. I've got it upstairs in my office as well, just for organising wires and whatnot. It's great. And if you combine that as well with the Gridfinity system that I use for my drawers, you've got almost what I consider the perfect organisation system for workshops, as it's not too difficult to modify.
Well, that's all finished now, so we've got to clean it up. One trick, if you're going to do roundovers on the top part, don't break it away from its tabs or the actual stock. Use your router now because it's at the same level, and it'll just make it easier getting these thin parts on the edge.
Future Charlie here. What past Charlie meant was that by having it on the same level is that you can't tip the router when you're using it, and you won't take chunks out of edges or mess up any roundovers. You'll also want to use a miniature roundover bit. Mine has a 2.4mm bearing on it, so it can fit into any cut made by a 1/4" CNC bit. It's time to get rid of all of those pesky tramline marks from the CNC flattening passes. I sand to 120 and then I use water to pop the grain, and I resand again with the 120, and this just gets rid of all the fluffies and the bumps and whatnot that's left on the surface and gives a really nice smooth finish. And then we repeat on the other side.
You can see quite a little bit of where the step over left a little bit of marking on here, but it's not too bad, easy to remove.
This detail sander from Milwaukee is the absolute business. I love using it for these tight areas. I use a full sanding pad on them as well in these shallow areas because it just takes care of the little edges that are hard to get to. A trick to stop your spout from dripping is to sand the lip quite sharp. Right here I'm filling this thin crack. I just blow it out first to get any of the dirt out and fill it with Typon 3, which is a food safe waterproof glue. Then sand over the top. Don't use dust extraction on this because you want the dust to mix with the glue and create a filler for that crack. Right, it's time to finish. I'm using mineral oil here. I leave the board to soak for at least an hour usually. If I can do it overnight at the end of the day, that's even better. And finally, I'm just going to put my logo on with the laser, or at least try. You'll see in a second what happens.
And I've done it the wrong way around, you
Subscribe.
moron. So that's all done. I'm really happy with how it's turned out. I had some issues with the laser. I'm still working out how to use it. And I got the engraving the wrong way around the first time, so I had to sand it out and bring it back in. So what makes this a 3-in-1 chopping board? Well, the fact is that you have this area here, which I originally designed to be like a scraps bin. So when you're sort of chopping things up and you want to like slide them in, it just makes cleanup easier and cleans your work surface as well. But also this big old groove around the edge is for juices. So if you're cutting your meats, it slides into here. And if you notice in this section, you've got a little spout that's just raised above the surface as well. So you can pour all your juices out to make gravies. So that's 2 functions. And the third function is just a regular chopping board on this side. So if you don't need to have any of those other functions, it's this. I hope you like it, and the files will be available on my website, so go download them. Have an amazing day, and thank you for joining me. Bye.